What is up, everybody? Doomwake here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another modern video on the channel. As always, before we continue, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the video. We are inching ever closer to that 4,000 subscriber mark, so if we could hit that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you again for all the support. Love each and every one of you. So, today, we have in front of you an Indomitable Creativity deck. This particular deck list is one that I got from Spiderspace, who you should definitely give a follow to, Twitch and Twitter. I believe it's at Spiderspace. They have, for at least for the first couple of weeks that I was working on Asmo, they were a big proponent of Asmo as well. They were working on some different shells, and they're always innovating. And this is another new innovation from the Spiderspace camp. I saw they forward a prelim with it. Somebody else I saw 5-0 to league with it. So this deck's got some pretty good results so far. So we're going to go ahead and give it a spin. So Indomitable Creativity is a card that I'm sure you've probably seen before. So it's like sort of a, it's like a mass polymorph kind of thing. So you can destroy X target artifacts and or creatures. And then you flip cards on top of your deck until you reveal that many an artifact or creature card. Flip that card and then put it into play. Normally you see that card in conjunction with Velomachus Lorehold, which you can attack with it, flip a bunch of time walks, take a bunch of turns, or Emrakul, and just attack with the Emrakul. This time, we're going the Grixis route, and we're choosing our fatty of choice is Archon of Cruelty, and the reason we're choosing to do Archon of Cruelty over the other creatures is because Archon is not legendary, which allows us to play a persistent Unmarked Grave package along with it. So the idea is you Hard Evidence or Dwarven Mine to put a token into play. You can Indomitable Creativity one or multiples of those. And the nice thing about doing Indomitable Creativity for X equals 2, you actually get multiple Archons into play, which, you know, usually that's just game over. And you also have the out to just turn 2 Unmarked Grave, turn 3 Persist. So you have some really good utility there. It's like, you know, you're not a one-trick pony. And you can sort of race. Normally, there are a lot of matchups where turn 4 Creativity might not be fast enough, but turn 3 Archon is usually fast enough against those decks. So you have that out as well. Rest of the deck, just kind of, there's some removal spells, some interaction like Fatal Push, Inquisition, Lightning Bolt. We have Expressive Iteration to kind of tie the room together. Because we're playing the Grixis colors, this card's really good. You should be seeing this in almost just every deck that sports blue and red mana because of how powerful it is. And Prismari Command, which is really, really nice. That I think this might be one of the better Prismari Command decks that I've ever seen. It's obviously really good in the other creativity decks because you're generating an artifact, which you can then creativity away, because it's a lot easier for your opponent to interact with a Dwarven Mine token than it is for your opponent to interact with just a general artifact. You know, you dodge when you make an artifact, like with Prismari Command being a treasure or Hard Evidence making a clue. You get to dodge removal spells like Unholy Heat, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push, those kinds of things. So you get the Archon trigger even if your opponent has one of those. And so it's really nice there. You get to make a treasure for creativity. Also, if you draw an Archon of Cruelty, you get to use the Draw 2, Discard 2 mode to put it into your graveyard to then persist or Unburial Rights it back into play. And then, you know, just the added utility of being able to destroy an artifact, which is really good against Hammer Time, shocking something really good against Ragavan and things like that. So there's just, this card is just kind of doing, we're using all parts of the buffalo with this card in this deck. And then we have one Unburial Rights to be able to Unmarked Grave for, which is why we have a Sacred Foundry in the mana base. So you can set up lines where you maybe have a Prismari Command and an Archon, but you're missing the reanimation spell, so you can go Unmarked Grave for Unburial Rights, turn 2, turn 3 Prismari Command, discard Archon, turn 4 Unburial Rights it back. And yeah, so that is pretty much all of what's going on in the main deck. Again, the mana base, all red fetches. We're playing a lot of fetch lands because we need to be able to make sure we have enough access to Dwarven Mine on turn 4 so we can creativity it for when those situations arise. And the rest of the mana base is just Steam Vents, Blood Crypts, again, the one Sacred Foundry for the Unburial Rights, fetches. Notably, there's one mountain, one swamp. The swamp is a bit of a point of contention because of how bad it is with Dwarven Mine, but I like the ability to, like, there's a lot of decks that have Blood Moon, or access to Blood Moon, so having the swamp is really nice, because Blood Moon is going to shut off Dwarven Mine, but if you have the Swamp, you can still cast Unmarked Grave and Persist, and a lot of the Blood Moon decks might have trouble with an Archon. So that's why we're playing the one basic Swamp. You could maybe argue an Island is also reasonable because of Prismari Command, so Island would allow you to cast Prismari Command, which would then allow you to, which would give you a treasure to cast Creativity. But I think the Swamp is a little bit more important, especially with Inquisition push and when we get to the sideboard, Thoughtseize. So the sideboard, you'll notice there's a couple other creatures here. And there are matchups where you want to switch around your creature setup. So against Hammer Time, for example, Hammer Time has a really hard time beating Serra's Emissary. So your ideal setup post board against Hammer Time is 1 Archon of Cruelty and 2 Serra's Emissaries. So that's what we're going to do there. And then against the Cascade decks, Void Winnower is another one that you want to have access to be able to Unmarked Grave for, because you can persist it. So if you have this against, like, let's say, Crashing Footfalls decks, they can't cast Crashing Footfalls, they can't cast Brazen Borrower, they can't cast Fire Ice to tap the Void Winnower. There's not, I guess they can cast Dead Gone, if they have that card. So that's the one card that they have access to, but it shuts off a lot of their outs to it, and it also shuts off their main game plan. We got 4 copies of Flusterstorm for control decks and the Cascade decks. Thoughtseize, again, kind of going along with the Flusterstorm, so we get a nice little package there for when we want to cut the removal spells. Shattering Spree and Alpine Moon kind of rounding out the sideboard. Alpine Moon good against Tron and Urza Saga. Shattering Spree very good against Urza Saga decks. So sideboard is pretty straightforward, maybe with the exception of the 3 creatures, but everything else should be pretty self-explanatory. So that's the deck. This deck looks awesome. I played it actually a little bit on stream last night, and played a couple leagues. We ended up going, I think we went 4-1 and then 2-3. So not the best combined record, but I learned a lot about the deck. I made a couple of changes from there. So we will play it today, and we'll see how it does. So with all of that, without further ado, I'll see you back in just a little bit for round number 1. Alrighty, YouTube, we are back here for round number 1. This hand doesn't really do anything, but the nice thing about this hand is we have redraws to Unmarked Grave and Creativity, and we have a redraw with the Hard Evidence. I think I'm going to keep it. Maybe this is one of those hands that just doesn't quite do enough where you have to mulligan it, but it's got some high upside. Like, if we draw Grave, it's good. If we draw Creativity, it's pretty good. Any sort of disruption is decent. Yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of live draws with this hand, so I think I'm okay keeping it. Especially if they're playing Ragavan. Hard Evidence really good against Ragavan. So, I'm okay with it. We'll try it. Opponent leads on Flooded Strand. We are going to get a Steam Vents and cast Hard Evidence. Let's see what they got. Am I going to get stifled? Don't think I'm going to get stifled. Alright, Hard Evidence. 0-3, your turn. Looks like maybe blue-white control. Okay, not blue-white control. Probably some sort of Urza deck. Yeah, our hand's not great. Let's go Blood Crypt, untapped, pass. The intention of sacrificing Clue this turn. Yeah, now if they play Urza, we're not going to be in... We're really not going to be in a good spot. They have another Talismans. Now they can pop the Saga. Draw did not pan out. Okay. Now what? Okay, those are 2 really good draws. So I think my plan is going to be to let them make a construct, and then I want to go destroy the Talisman, 2 damage to the construct, which will kill it because the Talisman will be gone. I only have 2 artifacts. And they go, yeah, I like that line. And then next turn we can Creativity. Yep, I like that line. Alright, so we let that resolve. We go... Where'd it go? Destroy target artifact, 2 damage. 2 damage, destroy an artifact. So we get to kill the talisman and the construct, and then next turn we can creativity the crab away. Can also get a dwarven mine if the crab dies for some reason. Alright, they have a construct. Let's see what they are getting off of Saga. Sometimes they have Graveyard Hate. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. Because they can bounce the Archon. Yeah, they can also just bounce the crab token. It's a little awkward. Interesting. So what is our plan this time? I think honestly my plan might just be bolt the construct, fetch a dwarven mine, and then blow up the spell bomb. Like blow up the spell bomb loop maybe. So let's start by bolting the construct. I want to do it while they're sort of maybe kind of tapped out. And then we can go play Bloodstained Mire and pass. We can get Dwarven Mine, maybe blow up the spell bomb, and make a treasure on their end step. Thopter Foundry. Okay. Well, I guess the other line is to just let them have the spell bomb, and then just get a second Dwarven Mine and creativity for 2 tokens. So that way, if they spellbomb a token, I still get the Archon, and if they let it resolve, I get 2 Archons, they bounce 1. Yeah, okay, so I can just let this go. Because now I want to blow this up. Yeah. The question is, do I loot, or do I make a treasure? Not sure. Probably just make a treasure, because, well, I guess looting is decent with the persist, but I also kind of want to make sure both Archons are in my deck. Yeah, so let's just go treasure. Treasure, destroy artifacts. Because I want to try and keep them off the combo. And now we can creativity X equals 2. Maybe Metallic Rebuke? No, we're just going to make a token. Sure. Okay, so let's go get another Dwarven Mine. And then I'm going to creativity for X equals 2. Probably the treasure and the crab. If I target the spell bomb and... Oh, actually, I could do it for X equals 3. What if I went 1, 2, 3, sack the treasure? Then they sack the spell bomb, bounce a dwarf, I get 1. It ends up being the same thing. Maybe that's better. Yeah, but they get an Urza, though. I don't want to give them an Urza. Yeah, let's just do it this way. Or, yeah, those two. Because I could target the spell bomb to make it so that, like, if I target spell bomb and 2 of my things, they sack the spell bomb, bounce a dwarf. Oh, but they sack the spell bomb, so they don't actually get the Ursa. Maybe that line was better. Maybe that line was better. Just go target spell bomb and 2 dwarfs, sack the treasure for the 6th mana source. The best they can do is sack spell bomb, bounce a dwarf. Then I get 1 Archon, but they have no spell bomb, which means they don't actually get an Ursa. I mean, this is still pretty good. They have to discard 2 cards. They have to bounce one of these. Like, we're still in a pretty good spot, but the other line might have been a little bit better. Yep, one's bounced. That's fine. Attack for 1. They have 1 card in hand. Even if it's an Urza, should still be okay. Yeah. That's fine. Okay. And they have no cards. Attack. They're at 3, so this should be lethal. Because then I can just... Yeah, Could just Creativity this. I have a third Archon. One thing I just realized, I'm used to playing this deck with 2 Archons, so I could have actually Creativity for X equals 3 and targeted Dwarf, Dwarf, Crab token, which that probably would have been a little bit better. I added the third I added the third Archon this morning, so I'm used to only playing with 2 copies, so I just kind of have to get used to that a little bit. Alright, Shattering Spree and Alpine Moon against the Urza Saga deck. Do I want Flusterstorm or Thoughtseize? Lightning Bolt seems kind of bad. Fatal Push is good against Urza, but it's really bad against everything else. So I think I'd rather have Moon and Spree than Push and Bolt. The question is, do I want Thoughtseize? How about Void Winnower? What is Void Winnower? The problem with Void Winnower is they're probably at the Fairy deck. So Void Winnower stops your opponent from playing even mana spells. So they can't cast Thopter Foundry, or Urza. The problem is they can still play Saga, cast Spellbomb. They can Spellbomb the Void Aether Spellbomb it, and they can also still cast Teferi. So I don't think I want that. It's just the question of, do I want Thoughtseize over maybe some iterations? Spider Space was also telling me he only brings in 2 Alpine Moon against Urza Saga because it's not a card you want to draw a ton of. So maybe I just do that, trim an iteration, bring in 2 Thoughtseize. Yeah, let's try that. Alrighty, we're back here for game number 2. This hand's a bit sketchy. So this hand has, what, turn 1 Steam Vents, Hard Evidence. Turn 2 Tap Land, Alpine Moon, but then we're missing black mana for this. We do have a Hard Evidence and a Creativity and a Moon, so I think I'm willing to keep it. This hand has some high upside. Also, we have Archon Persist, so if we draw a Prismari command, we can loot, discard the Archon, and then persist it back, which is pretty good, so I think this hand's got a lot of upside. Alright, let's get... Yeah, let's just play Hard Evidence. Some people are dubbing it Crabin Inspector, or Crabin Inspector, because it's a crab, but it's a clue, and it's a 1-drop, get it? That's the joke. Creativity. Alright, let's just go Alpine Moon. I want to get the tap land into play, so let's do it this way. Name Urza Saga, get the tap land in play, pass. What do they got? They have a spell bomb and they have 1 card left. Okay. So now we can just go, what, Sacred Foundry pass? I think I'm not going to crack the clue. Because if I sack the clue and then Creativity, the only target I have is the crab. Which means that they can just bounce the crab and I don't even get an Archon trigger. The spell bomb is something I'm just going to have to fight through. Unless I find a Prismari command, but... I'm not going to sack the clue. My plan is to Creativity for 2. And then get 2 Archons. So... I think I want black mana with this. I might just want a Dwarven Mine. I can just play Mountain and pass. I don't need to do anything quite yet. Wait 1 more turn. Is there any reason to Creativity right now? No, because if I target the crab, they just bounce it. I don't even get a single token out of it. So I'd rather wait and do it for 2. Target, let's say, you know, crab clue or something, or like dwarf clue or something like that. So that they can't bounce the spell bomb on one of my things, so I at least get 1 trigger. And if they choose not to spell bomb either of the tokens, then I get 2 triggers, then they discard their hand, and then things are going well for us. Alright, they got a Thopter Foundry. So they might have a counterspell here. So now I could wait a turn and cast Thoughtseize, but the problem is, if I play Thoughtseize this turn, I can't cast Creativity, because again, I need to make sure I do this for at least 2. So what if I just get Blood Crypt, Creativity X equals 2, and the reason I want to get Blood Crypt is so I can cast Thoughtseize the turn after. Let's do that. I think I like that play. Although not getting a Dwarven Mine kind of sucks because I'm trying to think of a world where like this resolves and I need a token left over to make sure I can creativity again the following turn. Oh, but actually, if the first one resolves, the creativities are going to be dead because I have an Archon in my hand and I'll have 2 more in play. So if this X equals 2 resolves, then this other creativity doesn't do anything. So I might as well just get Blood Crypt. Because then if this one doesn't resolve, we still have an Archon in our deck. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, so do creativity, X equals these 2. Red, red, red. That. They might just counter it. Not be surprised if they countered it. Okay, that's fine. Just resolving? Alright, we got an Archon. Step 1 acquired. Get an Archon. Now we can even Thoughtseize ourselves. We need a second black source to be able to go Thoughtseize myself and persist. Alright, they discard Saga. They have 1 card left. They can sack the star to make a token. I mean, I guess we could lose if they have Urza and Sword of the Meek. That is how we lose this game. I don't know there was much I could do about that, but... Okay. The Thopter Foundry engine does sort of blank Archon for a decent bit of time because they can keep, you know, throwing tokens to it, but Thopter Sword by itself without Urza doesn't kill us on the spot, so we have time to try and find a shatter effect for the Thopter Foundry. Looks like they don't have the sword. So this is looking good for us. Attacking. What's this? Oh, sure. Alright, well that's the second black source. They have no cards in hand now. So now we can Thoughtseize myself and persist it. Or I could just creativity, which I think I would rather do while they're tapped out. So let's go Dwarven Mine. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we can do both, actually. Yeah, we can creativity for 1. I could creativity the Foundry, but I think that gives them an Urza, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to give them an Urza. I think that's bad. Alright, so they sack a thing, and then we can go Thoughtseize myself, persist. They have 0 cards, so there's not really anything I need to play around, right? Because I could have Prismari commanded the Thopter Foundry there, but... I don't think I need to. Alright, they've had enough. That was a pretty good showing for this deck. Yeah, a lot of power. This deck just has a lot of different lines to it. You have the normal creativity lines. You have a lot of like really sweet persist lines with Prismari Command and Thoughtseizing yourself post board. So that was a really good showing. So I hope you enjoyed the games, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 2. Alrighty, YouTube, Grixis Creativity, round number 2. What does our hand do? This hand is really nice. So this hand gets to go turn 1, Steam Vents, Hard Evidence. Turn 2, Tap Land. Turn 3, Hold Up Command. Turn 4, Creativity. So definitely going to keep this. And we will see what we are up against. The really nice thing about this hand is we can actually go Prismari Command, Treasure, plus Shock, or plus something else. And that actually gives us 5 mana to Creativity X equals 2 on turn 5. Not if they kill the crab, but... Maybe I'm not supposed to shock there, but the Hard Evidence, the crab kind of blanks the Swiss Spear a little bit. I am going to block. If they have 2 1-mana spells, my crab's dead, but they also might just have Blaze, yeah. Alright, maybe this matchup is rough. Maybe this matchup is rough. So, what is my plan? They have 3 cards. I think I have to play Dwarven Mine and pass. This doesn't feel great, though, when you don't draw a cheap removal spell against Burn. Maybe I'm not supposed to shock there. Just supposed to, like, time walk myself and play Evidence on 2 into Command on 3. Because now I go to 4. Well, I can kill this and make a treasure. Yeah, okay. So this, hopefully this will work. If they don't have another Boros Charm. So, 2 damage, treasure. And now if they don't have Boros Charm, we can just Creativity the Clue. Or they, yeah, 2 burn spells kills me too, but... Alright, we're dead. At least that was quick and painless. Alright, Flusterstorm good against burn. I think Archon is my best fatty, other than Emissary, because Emissary, they have a good split between sorceries, artifacts, and creatures. Or, excuse me, sorceries, enchantment, instants, and creatures. So I don't think you actually want Emissary. But Flusterstorm is good. And what are we cutting? Maybe Iteration? I think I just don't have time for Iteration in this matchup. I think I just need to make sure I can interact early and often. Yeah, I like this. Let's do that. Void Winnower is interesting because it shuts off their 2s, but their deck is all 1s, 2s, and 3s, and they have like a pretty even amount of 1s and 2s, and then usually 8 3s, so I don't think Winnower is actually that good. So this hand is Blood Crypt, Inquisition, into Tapland Bolt, into Unmarked Grave. I think this is good enough. We need to find a Persist, but I think it is good enough. And I am going to Blood Crypt on 1, because I want this to get blue mana. I could get Basic Swamp with this, but then my Dwarven Mine is off, and I don't have blue mana. So I think I have to Blood Crypt. Okay, so we'll take a creature and bolt the other creature. So I guess I'll take Goblin Guy, because I take 1 less damage off the Swift Spear, because I'm going to bolt it anyways. So I'm going to go this, Swift Spear, we'll go to the 17, we'll just bolt it main phase. Ooh, that's interesting. I think I'm going to save that for next turn, because I want to get blue mana into play. So let's bolt this thing now, get a tapped blue land. And then we can... I guess that means we can't go Grave plus Inquisition. It's not too bad, though. But I do need to get blue mana at some point. More unmarked graves, huh? Alright, well, our Inquisition's still going to be good next turn, so let's just get a... Oh, you know what I could have done? I actually messed up. I could have got Sacred Foundry. Because what I could have done was got Sacred Foundry off of this, Grave for Archon, next turn, Grave for Rights, and then the turn after. Yeah, so I probably should have got Sacred Foundry. I didn't think about that. Although I have more blue cards. I don't know, it's close. Okay, well now that line is still available to us. The problem is they have Skullcrack. So if my plan is to Unmarked Grave for Rights, fetch a tapped Sacred Foundry, I go to 11. They have 9 damage in their hand. And they have a Skullcrack, which they can hold up next turn. So maybe what I have to do is Inquisition take the Skullcrack, and then just hope to peel a Persist. I don't think I have time for the Rights. I just don't think I have time for it. And the rights line is also really bad against the Skullcrack we know about. Yeah. So they have Helix, Skewer, X. I'll take Helix, because that's an instant and technically costs less mana. So I'm at 9, and their hand is Skewer plus Canyon. Okay. This is maybe doable. Maybe doable. Also, saving the Tarn means that if I draw Creativity, I can just get a Dwarven Mine and slam it. Which is potentially going to be my line. I think I'm going to choose to not crack it this turn, because even if I get Sacred Foundry and Grave for Rights, I still can't cast Rights next turn. So I can give myself a draw step to try and find Creativity, and then if I brick, next turn Grave for Rights, turn after Rights. So I can wait on the fetch here, because if I draw Creativity, I just want to get Dwarven Mine and slam an Archon. Okay. So their hand is Canyon plus Skewer. So they're likely just gonna... Wait, they didn't play the... Wow, they didn't play the Canyon? I'm surprised they didn't want to sack there. Interesting. Okay, so now we have to... Yeah, we didn't have a choice. I have to Grave for Rights and hope it works out. I don't think it's going to, but Oops, can't cast that. Because I'm at 6, I have to fetch to 4, or excuse me, go to 5, fetch to 4, skewer to 1, so I'm dead to any spell. Alright, yeah, we're dead. I mean, I could fetch a Dwarven Mine, but then I don't have any outs, right? Dwarven Mine, chump block, go to 4, but then I have no outs. Alright, yeah, we're dead. Unless... No, okay. We're dead. Yeah, dead. Huh, bit of an unfortunate match. I don't know if Burn's a bad matchup, but it seems like it might be. Their draws were also just kind of nuts both games. So, you know, maybe if they have a slightly average draw, you can, you know, maybe steal a win, but their draws were definitely above average. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe something to consider moving forward if you want to have something for the Burn matchup. Maybe like a fatty that just ends the game on the spot. I'm not sure what that would be, like Sphinx of the Steel Wind or something like that, but in any case, hope you enjoyed the games. See you back in just a little bit for round number 3. Alrighty, YouTube, we are here for round number 3, and we have a 1-lander, which I'm going to mulligan. Okay, Prismari Command, Inquisition, we can work with this. Put back one of those. We're going to go fetch Blood Crypt on turn 1, Inquisition them. Does this burn again? I hope not. I hope it's not burn again. I mean, I guess if they're burn, I would consider playing Swamp on one, but because I have Dwarven Mine, I don't think I can. I don't think I have that luxury. I think I need to get mountains. All right, they are definitely not burn, but I mean, the good news is their hand kind of stinks. They didn't cast Conflagrate on one. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like they wanted to cast Conflagrate X equals 0 on turn 1. So that if they drew a Dredger, they could just discard it this turn. But I guess they had the reunion. They didn't know we were playing a discard spell deck, so I guess it makes sense. What's my plan this game? Probably just get a Steam Vents. Tap TOT. Alright, so they played these two. They have Cave Ox that we know about. Did they draw a Cathartic? Hardcast Golgari Thug. Magic is Garfield intended. I mean, they're just going to get to 5 lands and play this Ox, so we do have to be a little bit careful of that. Is casting that better than casting Prismari Command? It does look at more cards to get us a Creativity, because we get to see 3 cards off the iteration and then only 2 off the command. So we get more looks at Creativity if I cast Iteration, which I guess is probably a good enough reason to cast it. Well, the other argument is command this turn is better if I miss, because then I can Iteration into a 2-mana spell like an Unmarked Grave next turn. So maybe it's better to cast command than just loot plus treasure. Yeah, okay, I changed my mind. Let's do that. I'm gonna get a basic mountain. I probably should get the Sacred Foundry. I don't want to take too much damage, though. Sacred Foundry is nice because it turns on Burial Rites lines. But no, because I'm getting a treasure, so I don't need the Sacred Foundry, yeah. Because I'm gonna get a treasure off of this. What's this? Hardcast Chill? No chill. Opponent has no chill. Alright, let's get a mountain. Let's go... Draw 2, treasure. Definitely don't want to cast Fatal Push. I kind of want to keep this to have another access to another Dwarven Mine. Yeah, let's discard the Swamp. We don't need the Swamp because I have double black here if I draw Persist plus Grave. Hopefully we just find a Creativity, which we did not. I found a blocker for the thing, though. I'm at 11. Alright, so hand, bottom, exile. Play the land. And then I think we're just going to go hard evidence plus sack clue. I think that's better than casting Prismari Command. Because that gets us a creature. Yeah, maybe this was worse than casting Prismari Command. Because we do dig a little bit deeper with Command. And I only take 1 more damage. So, yeah, maybe this was worse. If the final land, they could just Ox me. Okay. It's a pretty good draw for them. Yeah, this is not the best. Well, so I'm gonna main phase Prismari Command in case I hit Unmarked Grave. So let's do that. I'm just gonna loot plus treasure. There's the Unmarked Grave. So let's cast it. Yeah. I think. Just trying to think if there's any reason not to cast it. No, I want to cast it, because now if I draw another Unmarked Grave, I can just grave for rights. I'm going to get the Archon. Do I want to cast Hard Evidence? No, I need to keep the treasure for white mana. I think we have done a little bit too much dirtling this game. And now our opponent has gotten to the point where they're going to start going off. I mean, maybe there's like a couple more turn windows that we have, but we just kind of bricked off a little bit too much here. Yep. Yep. Now they just go nuts. Yeah, it's going to be probably too hard for us to come back from this. Because then they get 7 more power. They still have a Conflagrate in their graveyard. They have a Loam. Come on. I block. Like, I don't even know if Archon's good enough. Well, we still haven't found the Archon. Okay. More dirtling. More going through our deck. Alright, we'll play this. Make a blocker. I should loot treasure now in case I draw Persist. Draw 2 treasure. Oh my goodness. Okay. Your turn. So we've gone through almost half of our deck, have yet to find a Creativity or a Persist. That's a lot. We've gone through a lot of cards. We have gone through a lot of cards. So in the top 27 cards, we've drawn exactly 1 Unmarked Grave, because even a second grave would allow us to get Emrakul rights. We've drawn exactly 1 Unmarked Grave, 0 Creativity, 0 Persist. You know. That's all I'm going to say. We'll leave it at that. Three, 6. They can just kill both my crabs. I mean, maybe there's a world where if we get them to cast Conflagrate and somehow don't die, we can Creativity 2 treasures. Okay. Oh, I'm just dead on board. Right, block, block. Yep, dead on board. Okay. Well, that was a lot of bricks. Just gonna make sure they're in our deck. Would have taken us 24, so this was 25. We would have had to gone through 35 cards to find the first Creativity or Persist. Okay, well, you know, it is what it is. Game number 2. So the problem with Sarah's Emissary is you have to name creature, but they can just conflagrate it. So I don't know if it's actually good. It might be one of those things. So there's some spots where you want to bring in, your setup wants to be 2 Emissaries, 1 Archon after board, so that you have the Archon as unmarked Grave Persist target, and Creativity for 2 just locks them out of the game because you name creature and sorcery, and now they have no outs to it. If you Emissary name creature and sorcery, I think that is just lights out. I don't think they have much else. I'm just trying to think of what their deck is. I guess they'd have to have like double Lightning Axe. So maybe that is the game plan we want to set up. Just double Emissary and 1 Archon. We leave 1 Archon in the deck to be able to unmarked Grave Persist for it, because this is better by itself on turn 3 with Persist, but this is better as a 5-mana play off of Creativity because double Emissary should just lock them out. So that's what we're going to do there, and I really just think I want to cut Thoughtseize for, or Bolt for Thoughtseize. I like Thoughtseize and Inquisition on the play because you can take their Enabler. It's possible that having Flusterstorm is better than having... Oh, Fatal Push is also bad. So maybe this is too much discard and we want to bring in 4 copies of Flusterstorm. So we could do like minus an Inquisition, minus an Iteration. Bring in Flusterstorm. I guess at that point Inquisition's probably just better than Thoughtseize. Because Inquisition still takes all their enablers. Okay, let's try this. I think I like Flusterstorm to try and keep them off action for a little bit. Okay, so this hand has a lot of unmarked graves and no blue mana. We do have white mana, which means we can set up turn 2 grave for Thing, turn 3 grave for Rights, turn 4 Rights. But having no blue mana is kind of tough. I think I'm going to ship this. Alright, what's this hand? This hand I think is good. I'm just trying to think of what I want to put back. I think I'm going to put back Unmarked Grave with the intention of going turn 1 discard spell, turn 2 tap land discard spell, turn 3 iteration look for lands, and then we can just set up a Creativity. I think I like this. Alright, Inquisition them. They have Cathartic Grudge, Stinkweed Imp. Alright, well, I'll take Cathartic. Grudge is an interesting one. Well, we can play around that with Dwarven Mine. Okay. So they played this, discarded Imp, Foothills, Cathartic. So Imp, Foothills. So these are 4 of their 5 cards. And he discarded the Creativity. Alright, well, let's Thoughtseize them. Alright, they got all lands. Now we can plan on getting a Steam Vents here. And then Iteration next turn. They do get to start dredging Imp. He didn't really hit anything, though. Alright, so get the Steam Vents. Now we can Iteration... Try and hit some lands. Perfect. So let's go... how do I want to do this? Hand, bottom, exile. I just play this tapped. And then we can leave up this in case we want to get Dwarven Mine. Alright, Foothills down. They still have a Stinkweed Imp, which I assume they're going to cast. That is acceptable. Did they hit a Conflagrate or no? No Conflagrate. Hard Evidence, huh? So we can just go Hard Evidence, get a Dwarven Mine, cast Command. No, I can't get Dwarven Mine and cast Command. Could go Hard Evidence, sack the Clue. Which is probably okay. But at that point, is it better to just cast Prismari Command? Probably, yeah. Yeah, let's just pass. We can play Prismari Command here. Just looking for a creativity. Could have main phased the command in case I found a fatty, because I could go loot treasure, which is probably what I'm going to do anyways, right? Loot treasure. So I probably should have main phased the command. Hardcast Bloodghast. Okay. Alright, loot treasure. Flusterstorm, huh? Do I discard the persist? Because I kind of want to keep... these three. Command, Flusterstorm, Hard Evidence. And then next turn we can go Hard Evidence, Command again. Yeah, I think that's good. Oh, well that works too. So now we can go... We do know they have Grudge. I kind of want to set up a bigger command. Or a bigger creativity, excuse me. So what if I just went Hard Evidence Pass? Yeah, I think I like this better. And then we can just set up for a bigger creativity next turn. Yeah. I think I like this. Because if I just creativity for 2, targeting the treasure and the crab, they just grudge and I only get one thing. And remember, I brought in 2 emissaries, so my creature setup right now is 2 emissary, 1 archon. So I don't want to just try and high roll one of those 2. I want to get all 3 into play. So that's why we're waiting a little bit here. Okay. Can also just counter the grudge now. So we can go Steam Vents. If I get a Steam Vents, go Loot Treasure. Yeah, I think that's good. No. No, I kind of want a Dwarven Mine. Because I can just do it for 2 creatures, right? And just not sack the treasure. Just trying to think of the best way to do it. So if I get... Oh, I don't have a Steam Vents. Okay, well that makes it easier. Okay, I'm definitely getting Dwarven Mine then. I forgot I discarded the second Steam Vents to the Inquiry. Okay. Well, this makes things a lot easier then. Alright, not gonna sack anything. Okay, so now I can just do it for x equals 2 and target these 2. There is a chance I kind of brick. Well, I'm not a chance I brick, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to hit everything that I want to, potentially. We know about the grudge, so there's no point in targeting the clue. I wanted to try and set this up for 3. I wonder if there was a way I could have done that. I think without the second Steam Vents, I couldn't. Because I couldn't make a treasure there. Alright, what did we hit? We hit 2 emissaries? Okay, so that's game, right? Creature, sorcery? Yeah, okay, they're off it. Okay, cool. Cool. Game number 3. I think I like the way I sideboarded. Let's run it back. But yeah, the double emissary I think is just a lock against them. Alright, what do we have here? This hand has some stuff. So we go Blood Crypt, Thoughtseize on 1. Potentially Flusterstorm. Then we have Persist Rites. It's kind of like the first hand that I kept, where this hand has a lot of outs to either Unmarked Grave or Creativity. Both I think are good draws with this hand. So I think this hand by itself doesn't do a lot, but it has a good amount of redraws, right? It has like kind of half of either of the combo, which is Persist, which pairs with Grave, or Lands, which pair with Creativity. Like Creativity is just a one card combo, so it's I keep saying Creativity is a good draw, but it's always going to be a good draw. So, all right, well they're on 5. Yeah, I'm just gonna Thoughtseize them. Show me what you're working with. Oh, the anti-Thoughtseize hand. Alright, well, I'll take their Dredge 3, I guess. Now I look like a fool. And they hit a Narcomoeba and 2 Burning Inquiries. Alright, so they're going to go Gemstone Mine, Loam, get back Mesa. So their hand is Imp, Mesa. Imp, Mesa. Oh, second Loam. Imp, Mesa, Loam. I was like, I know their third card. So they have Imp, Mesa, Loam. That's their hand. I'm gonna write this down because I always forget. Imp, Mesa, Loam. Always gotta keep track of what cards are in their hand. Mesa go. Speaking of Mesa. And I can get a blue mana here. Then we can go probably basic Mountain. Do some looting on turn 3. Actually, I probably want to get Sacred Foundry along the way, because I have the rights in my hand. Depends on how much damage I take. Alright, so now their hand is Imp, Loam, Loam. And I guess they're going to cast Imp? No, because if they cast Imp, they can't Dredge. So they're going to cast Loam. Crypt Mesa. Crypt Mesa. Imp, Loam, Crypt Mesa. Could have Flusterstormed that, but I don't know if it's worth it to Flusterstorm that, because I have to Shock too, so... So let's get Steam Vents here. Oh, I also don't have to get a Sacred Foundry, because I can just loot plus treasure. So let's play Foothills, get a basic Mountain, and then loot plus treasure. I think is going to be our plan. It's going to be a bit of a dicey game, though. We have to hit pretty good off this command. Alright, Narcomoeba Ox. Thankfully, they do not have enough cards for the Ox yet. And they dredge another Loam, so it's Imp, Loam, Loam, Crypt, Mesa. They play Crypt. So I guess they're going to double Loam. No, they're playing Imp. Alright, so Loam, Loam, Mesa is their 3-card hand. I'm definitely not going to deal 2 damage to the Imp. I'm going to get a basic Mountain. We're going to loot treasure. Okay. Okay, this plays. So now I can go discard rights, discard fetch land, and then I can go Grave Persist with Flusterstorm back up. The question is, what do we name? If I get Emissary, what do we name? I don't think I can get Archon, because Archon just lets them sacrifice Stinkweed Imp, and then go off with Ox. So I guess I have to name Creature? I think? So discard rights, discard fetch land, untap. Yeah, and then go Dwarven Mine, make a homie, black this, unmarked grave. I think I gotta get Emissary and name Creature and just kind of hope that that's good enough to buy us some time. Okay, pass. We have 7 power. Thankfully, they don't get the dredge this turn, so they're a little bit farther away from Ox. Alright, Loam is fine. Yeah, maybe we win this race. We have to be a little bit cognizant of this. I mean, we're at 8, and this says each opponent, so we can't, even if we name sorcery, we can't protect from that. Okay. That's not bad. So let's cast that. Should I play my land first? Just in case they have, like, some kind of removal spell I could Flusterstorm. Because now I'm going shields down on Flusterstorm. Inquisition. So they played Loam last turn, and they played the Mesa. I don't think Inquisition does anything. I don't even know if I want to cast it. I'll just take Persist to hand, bottom, exile, play this. So that puts them to 10. Okay, so this puts them to 10. We can fetch another Dwarven Mine, which is now 8 power next turn. So I guess Prismaric Command would be lethal, because they're going to go to 2 next turn. No, casting Inquisition is bad, because that just puts more cards in their graveyard. Can they Ox? 5, 4, 7, 8. No, I don't think they can Ox. Conflagrate. But the thing about Conflagrate is, if they Conflagrate the Emissary, they have to Loam first. So this actually works out really well for me. Because they have to Loam before Conflagrating, in which case I get to Flusterstorm the Conflagrate. Because they're 1 card short right now. If they were able to just cast Conflagrate without casting Loam first, I couldn't Flusterstorm it, because they would have 2 mana to pay. But they have to Loam before Conflagrating. They just don't even have enough lands, do they? They have no lands in their graveyard. I just realized that. So they can fetch 7. Get back Bloodghast. Sure. Well, if they fetch again, then we have lethal. What their plan is. Alright, Loam resolves. Yeah, they can't fetch again, so they're going to hold on to that. And they're at 9. I don't actually think fetching a Dwarven Mine matters here, right? Because even if I cut Bolt from my deck, so I don't have Bolt. Bolt would be lethal anyways. But this is 7 damage either way, so Prismaric Command is still lethal. There's nothing that deals 1, right? That I'm missing? I don't think so. Unmarked Grave also lethal because I get 3 more damage off of the Archon, so I can Grave for Archon and then Writes it. Okay, not quite. Let's attack for 7. They go to 2. Oh, I guess putting them to 1... Putting them to 1 would have meant that they couldn't fetch. That might have been worth it. Yeah, that was probably worth it. Because turning off their fetches, I think, are pretty important. Pretty huge. Well, this is good for me because now they don't have enough cards to Ox. So now they can Conflagrate, discard their hand. Because they have 6 cards. But we can Flusterstorm so they can't Ox and then persist it again? Is that our plan? Oh, right, they just target us. We're at 5. I'm dumb. Right, forgot I was at 5. Could I have prevented that? trying to think. I mean, I chose not to fetch, although I would have taken 1 extra damage anyways, because they had one left. They had 1 card left. Storm counts 1, so I can't Flusterstorm it. Just making sure I'm not missing something. I have to go back and watch this one. Gonna have to go back and watch this one. I feel like this was a game I should have won, and I probably messed up somewhere along the way. Like, I think there might have been a spot where I didn't take a fetch land to get an extra Dwarven Mine. Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that one. That was a really interesting match, though, that, I'm just going back. I'm just trying to think. Burial Rites, Unmarked Grave. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, well, anyways, that was a sweet match. I hope you enjoyed the games, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 4. Alright, YouTube, we're in the trenches, 1 and 2. See if we can bring the ship back. Deck is not having the greatest of performance. I think this hand is fine, because we can go turn 1 Hard Evidence, turn 2 fetch tap Blood Crypt, second Hard Evidence, then we have a Creativity. So I think this hand is okay. It's not the best, but this hand plays. Alright, Kraben Inspector. Is it Kraben or Kraben? I don't know how people normally say that, but that's what it's affectionately been named. Dragon's Rage Channeler, huh? In the 1-2 bracket. I don't expect that. Oh, no. Oh, no. Alright, let's go Blood Crypt. I need black mana, I think. So I think it is worth shocking here. I'm just going to kill this thing now. Trying the second Archon. Probably the worst draw in the deck. And by probably, I mean definitely the worst draw in the deck. So next turn, if we miss on land, we can sack a clue and try and hit. But having these 2 Archons, I know for a fact I'm just going to draw... Knowing that how this league is gone, I'm going to draw the 3rd Archon, and I accept it. I'm glad... I guess I'll say I'm glad I added a 3rd to the deck. Alright, no reason to do this now, because I drew a land, so now we can just pass. Probably have Counterspell, which is not bode well for me. Yep, just holding up mana. Obviously I have Counterspell. So hopefully we find a discard spell. Okay, I'm not going to sack that yet, because I might just want to get Dwarven Mine. Unmarked Grave. So do I want to YOLO the Creativity? It's so likely they have a Counterspell. So I could go Mountain, get Dwarven Mine, Creativity the Clue, get it countered. Then I don't have white mana to get the rights. So maybe I just want to Unmarked Grave for Unburial Rights this turn. It's worse if I draw Persist, though. I don't know the best way to sequence this. Could get Sacred Foundry, and then cast Creativity, which is better if I draw rights, worse if I draw Persist. Well, that still leaves me the out of going, if I draw Persist, Grave next turn, turn after Persist. So let's just do that. Let's just get Sacred Foundry. And just jam the Creativity. I don't think it's going to resolve, but... yeah. Archmage's Charm. Oh, I guess they can just steal the clue. I mean, targeting the crab is worse against Bolt, but... alright, they chose to counter it. Shouldn't they have stolen the clue? Yeah, because they just get a creature for free. Isn't that just better than countering it? It also removes the clue, which makes my creativities worse. Yeah, I think they were supposed to just steal the clue. Because they now control the clue, so they get the creature. This is a 4/4 Murktide with Counterspell up. Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat. We're also at 11. We dealt ourselves a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Hmm. Let's just sack the clue. I want more information on what I want to grave for. Okay, well now I can just wait. I can wait because if I draw Persist, now I have 2 black mana, so I can go Grave Persist in the same turn. And if I draw another unmarked grave, I guess waiting is bad if I draw the second grave, but it's better if I draw Persist. I think I'm supposed to wait. I mean, I guess the argument is I don't have enough... If I draw unmarked grave, I don't have enough mana to be able to go grave, grave, rights, because I need 8 mana. But I'm at 7. Yeah. Alright, well, I don't have a choice. Gotta cast it. Gotta cast it. It's not resolving, but... Oh, it is resolving. Okay. 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 So they sack Ragavan. Alright, okay. Discard a card. Maybe, just maybe, there's hope. I thought all hope was lost. We go to 10, they go to 14. Now we have a 5/5 to block their 4/4. I mean, you never know. You never know. They discarded on Holy Heat. Worth noting. And they're only on instant creatures, so if they have a second Heat, they can't kill the Archon, necessarily. If they attack, I will definitely block. Because, I mean, they should attack if they don't have a creature, because they're going to lose their region either way. Maybe I don't block if they attack. They're bolting me. Okay. Second Regent. So it's going to be a 6/6. Interesting. Oh, right. And this one gets bigger. Right. Now I have to chump block. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. Having the chump block is not where I want to be. It's my out. Creativity is not even good because I have no Archons left. Alright. Dwarven Mine. Get a thing. I have to draw Persister Rights. Or Grave. Or Crab. Crab's also a fine draw, I guess. Guess I accept. Definitely don't accept. Alright, well, Cruelty costs 8, so I couldn't cast it that turn. Okay, I think this is a matchup where you don't want Emissary. I like Flusterstorm. And I think that's it. The question is, what are we cutting? I don't mind the interaction. So I think Spider was saying he didn't like Hard Evidence in this matchup, which kind of makes sense. But it's not true though, because Hard Evidence is good against Ragavan. That's kind of tough. Maybe you cut Iteration? You're just not trying to play that kind of game against them. And just keep all the cheap interaction in the Inquisitions to take their counterspells. Let's try that. Let's just cut Iteration. I don't know if that's right, but I think it makes sense to me. Alright, and we're back here for game number 2. What do we have? Bloodstained Mire, Sacred Foundry, Rites, Creativity, Bolt, Grave. Ugh, this hand is so clunky. The big problem with this hand is we have the Rites in our hand, so we can't even grave for Rites. I think this hand's just not good. I'm gonna ship it. Bolt push lands. Alright, I guess I'll keep this. Not in love with it, but just gonna leave them this tapped. It's not where I want to be, but we do have answers to cheap creatures like Ragavan DRC. We got those covered, so just need to find some action. Like, I don't think you're supposed to mulligan this hand. Alright, Steam Vents and Creature. Yep, Creature is dead. Just gonna Fatal Push it. Fatal Push it now. Play Tarn, pass. EOT, fetch a tap Steam Vents so I can have Flusterstorm up. Serum Visions I'm not going to counter. Alright, Serum Visions is resolved. Fetch our tap Steam Vents. Land go. Got not much going on here. If they play Iteration, I'll counter it. Definitely not going to counter that. Need to find some action. I mean, again, remember, Indomitable Creativity is a one-card combo, so that is always a welcome draw. EE for 0. Sure. Well, it kind of breaks up creativity a little bit. Let's save the fetch lands, I think. Yikes. Alright, your turn. So now we have to find like a Prismari command to blow up the explosives, and then also a creativity. So we're kind of a ways away from having relevant action, and they have a draw too. I mean, I don't want to fight over this, but I think I have to. I think I need to... I don't even know if that's a good fight. I mean, letting it resolve also sucks. But now they just get to play Murktide and probably hold up Counterspell. It's a game I probably can't win, no matter what I do. Blue-red, yeah, it's also bad. Yep, that's also bad. I mean, maybe I was supposed to go to 5? I thought push bolt lands was good enough. We ended up kind of breaking off, but... Like, we've drawn so far a bolt and 2, or a Flusterstorm and 2 lands. It's not great, but... Alright, let's get the Sacred Foundry. Okay. Your turn. Draw steps have not been... This has been a rough league. This has been a rough league. I swear, I did have a little bit better experience with this deck when I played it on stream last night. This has been not the best showing for this deck, though. So, I know you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you probably don't believe me, but... Yeah. I mean, at least the other 2 matches that we lost were pretty close. This one, not really close at all, but... Alright, bolt that thing. They're probably not going to fight over it. We're going to start the beatdown train. Starting the beatdown train. I'm not going to get a second one because they have the explosives, but... Okay, alrighty then. Just not meant to be, huh? Just not meant to be. You know, sometimes it's not meant to be. Alright. I could hold lands to loot for Prismari Command, but to be honest with you, I might just start hardcasting Archons at this rate. I mean, I have enough lands to hardcast Archons, so, you know. Blue. Now they have the Murktide. Well, at least this is going to be over pretty quickly. This game's not going to last much longer. Alright, you got a Murktide. You have a Murktide. They have 4 cards. Yeah, again, we have to, like... I guess if we drop Prismari Command, we can blow up the explosives, blow up the explosives, loot, peel Creativity, and then Creativity, hope they have Stone Nothing. It's our only way out of this. So I'm actually going to fetch for 1 more Dwarven Mine, leaving 1 fetch uncracked. Yeah, because I want to thin my deck a little bit. So I have to go Prismari Command, blow this up, loot, with 4 mana left over, hit Creativity, hope that they maybe pop the explosives, and then don't have a removal spell for the last dwarf. Or I could just draw another land. Okay, I've seen enough. Yeah, those were some rough draws. I mean, I was already on 6. I don't think I'm supposed to go to 5. I kept, push bolt and a couple lands, and then didn't really ever draw a spell. So, we're 1 and 3. I will play out the last round for the YouTube because I know you guys love the content. So, let's see you back in just a little bit for round number 5. See if we can complete the 2 and 3. Yikes. Alrighty, YouTube. Well, it started off so well, and we are now 1 and 3. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel. So this hand has turn 1 Hard Evidence, turn 2 Dwarven Mine tapped, turn 3 Iteration, try and spike a land for Inquisition. I think it's good enough. I'm going to keep it, because we have Hard Evidence plus Creativity, and we have Iteration to hit land drops. So I think it is possibly good enough. Alright, Glimmervoid, Witching Well. This maybe bodes well for us, because we beat Witching Well round 1. Might be a different deck, but, we beat Witching Well round 1, so let's hopefully we can close it out and beat Witching Well again. Alright, they have nothing else. Let's go Steam Vents, Hard Evidence. Your turn. Alright, what do they got? They got a Spire, and... Okay. This appears to be maybe the same deck, or something very similar. Prismatic Ending the Crab. Prismatic Ending the Treasure, or the Clue, excuse me. Sure. I accept. Alright, another iteration. Not the best, but not the worst, because that maybe helps us hit land drops up the curve if we miss on lands on the first iteration. But ideally, we're just looking for any fetch land, so we can go Blood Crypt, Inquisition, and then maybe set up in Creativity the next turn after we Inquisition. Okay, they have Pirate Spellbomb, which does not take out a crab, so that is worth noting. Engineer, which can find them a combo piece. Yep. Alright, Iteration. Find some lands. It's been a really, really unfortunate league. Let's say that. Alright, your turn. It's just not my day, huh? Sometimes you wake up and you just know it's not your day. And today is one of those days. Alright, Urza Saga. Do they have an Urza? Seems like they do. Yep. Yep. So how do I get out of this? Not really sure. My goodness. Alright, well, I have to hit land drops, or else there's no way I can win this game. Okay, we got some lands. So, hand, bottom, exile. Play this. Now the question is, we get to cast exactly one spell this turn, and we need it to hopefully means that make it so we don't die. If I cast Inquisition, they have the Engineer. Even if their last card is Thopter Foundry, they have Engineer to get back Thopter Foundry. However, if their last card is what's it called? Whir of Invention, I could take Whir, which cuts them off of getting the Thopter Foundry into play. So I think maybe that's my best line, is just get Blood Crypt and Inquisition them. Hopefully they have a Whir. Because if their last card is Thopter Foundry, I lose whether I Inquisition them or I bolt this, no matter what. Okay, well they have nothing. Could have also bolted the Construct, but I don't know if that's better or worse. Okay, there's Hallowed Fountain. Did they find the Thopter Foundry? We shall see. They're attacking. I'm not going to block. I declare no blocks. Okay. So now we just get a Dwarven Mine? I mean, I have to cast Creativity, right? I don't have a choice. Yeah, I have to cast Creativity. So let's get a Mine, and I will Creativity the Crab. Alright, what you got? I mean, I guess the issue is they just get a Spell Bomb off of this, bounce the Archon, and then just have 3 Constructs. So, I mean, I'm probably still in a horrible spot, but I'm not dead. They probably sack the Engineer? Yeah. Okay. So that lets us get another Archon? No, because they have the Spell Bomb. So we have to find a fetch land, and then we have to go Creativity for 2 on 2 Dwarfs. Assuming they get the Spell Bomb. What's this? 2 mana. 3, 4... Right, okay, sure. So we are dead if they find Thopter Foundry. And if they're floating mana, that's probably not a good sign for us. Because I assume if they brick, they probably would have just gotten... they probably would have just made a Construct token. But them floating mana means we're probably dead. Okay. And we're dead. Alright. Game number 2. Alpine Moon, Shattering Spree. Again, I think we only want 2. We don't want all of the Alpine Moons for this particular matchup. I'm going to bring in Thoughtseize, and I think I'm going to cut all of my interaction like I did the last time. And I kind of also want to cut Iteration. I just feel like we don't have a lot of time for Iteration. I think I want Archon as my main threat. Although I guess you could argue that Emissary on Artifact is good, but they might have Teferi to bounce it. Let's keep in Fatal Push, because Push can at least kill Urza. Yeah, let's do that. All right, game number 2. Here we are. I got no black mana. God. I do have a hard evidence and I can cycle it. Try and find black mana. All right, I'll keep it. Maybe this hand's bad. But we can go turn 1 hard evidence, turn 2 mountain, sack the clue. And then hopefully find a fetch land for Blood Crypt. Alright, hard evidence. Hard evidence that this deck maybe is not as good as I thought it was. I mean, we've gotten pretty unlucky this league, I will say. I think we've been running below average most of this league. Alright, Hallowed Fountain, what you got? Hallowed Fountain, Talisman. Okay. Talisman resolves. It's a prismatic ending on the crab. It kind of sucks that they prismatic ending the crab. I don't... Oh, why are they doing that? You can just sack it. I don't know why they did that. They should have definitely killed the crab. And then I would have at least had to decide if I wanted to sack the clue or not. But now it's just obvious that I sack it, because I get to keep the crab. That was a good draw. Now I can Thoughtseize them to hopefully take their answer to crab and then Creativity the turn after. So, I don't know, maybe. Maybe we are in it. I'm going to Thoughtseize because Thoughtseize can take Urza. They have Ending, Urza, Whir. The ending doesn't matter because I have a Dwarven Mine. So do I want to take Urza or Whir? They can Whir for a Spell Bomb. But if they do that, I can Thoughtseize myself after the Archon's bounce and then persist it. So I think I'm just going to take Urza. I guess they could Whir for a Grafdigger's Cage. I don't know if they play that card. They might. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to take Whir. Because they definitely could have Grafdigger's Cage. And Cage shuts off Creativity and Persist. Alright, well it looks like they're casting Endings. That's good for me. Maybe that means they don't have Cage. So they have Whir, Steam Vents. I mean, I'm definitely going to jam. My hand's kind of forced here. Prismatic Commands was actually a pretty good draw, because if they do Spell Bomb the Archon after I put it into play, I can then go loot Treasure, discard the Archon, use Treasure to cast Persist. So that's actually pretty good for me. Alright, so they're going to fetch now. What they're getting. Sacred Foundry. Untapped or tapped? Untapped or tapped? Untapped? They're thinking about it. They are thinking about it. Tapped. Alright, cool. So they probably discard Steam Vents. Or that makes sense. But this is nice, because now they have to go Steam Vents untapped, Whir for Spell Bomb, bounce the Archon, and then I can just go loot, make a treasure, persist it back, and they have no hand. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Yeah, because they have to tap out to Whir. Get the Spell Bomb, bounce this, and then we put it back into play and they have no hand. So we should be okay. Archon has been bounced. My turn. Alright. Wait, hold on. Draw 2, discard. Target player makes a treasure. Blue, red, red. Discard the Archon, persist it back. Guess I will also discard Thoughtseize because they have no hand. Alright. I think we're going to be going to game 3 pretty shortly here. They are off it. Alright, game 3. Think I like the way I sideboarded. Let's run it back. Alright, we need the 2-3 to get half of our entry fee back. This is for all of the marbles. The last game. Let's try and see if we can get a banger. Okay. I think I have to mulligan this. Just having 2 Archons in my opening hand is so rough. This hand's actually interesting. I think what I want to do is actually, I kind of want to keep the Archon. So I can just go command, discard rights plus Archon. I think I'm going to put back the Mountain. It's a little bit greedy putting back a land on the draw. But we are on the draw. And any third land lets us go loot plus treasure to set up rights on 4. So, what's this? They played Saga on 1, which is interesting. Not a common play pattern. Flusterstorm, Path to Exile. Alright, I will take Flusterstorm, because I really don't want them countering the Prismari command. That must have been a misclick, right? They were not intending to play Urza Saga on turn 1. That had to have been a misclick, given their hand. Yeah. Alright, Sacred Foundry. Tapped. Ooh, that's a really good draw. Let's name Urza's Saga. So now they can't even get a thing off of it. And play Bloodstained Mire, pass. I'm going to end up just getting a Steam Vents tapped, because I know I have to get a Steam Vents with the Prismari command, and I just want to take less damage. Alright, so they have Urza Path. They're going to ending this. Yeah, that's fine. That is acceptable. Yep. So any land will allow us to Archon on 4, because we can discard Rights Archon. Perfect. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Blue, blue, Talisman. Okay, so the last 2 cards are Urza Path. So this is good, because they're likely going to have to... Do you want to Shatter the Talisman? And not make a treasure? Just go Shatter, loot, hope to draw land. No, I don't like that as much, because if I draw land, I can just Shatter the Talisman with Shattering Spree. So let's just not do that. Let's just get Sacred Foundry. And then we'll go... Loot treasure. I just want to make sure, I just want to guarantee myself that I can cast the Archon. Alright, Rights Archon down. And again, their hand is Urza Path, so they likely have to discard Urza to the Archon and then also Path it, which is pretty good for us. So we can go Rights Archon. Get a trigger. They discard Urza, which makes sense. So the last card's Path. I think I'm going to just blow up the Talisman. Alright, I'll get a land. It's fine. I want to cut them off of resources. Okay. Alright, just so they can't cast Urza if they draw it. Alright, they have no cards. They have Island Foundry. Let's see what they got. They drew Thopter Foundry? Okay. So now we can go... loot plus Shatter. Draw cards, Shatter, blue, red, black. And they can sack it to make a token, but Alright, they chose not to. Discard Thoughtseize, discard... Land? No, discard Fatal Push. Unmarked Grave, get an Archon. And then we can get Steam Vents, play... Yeah, Steam Vents, play Hard Evidence. And then we can cycle Hard Evidence next turn. We can try and find a Creativity or a Persist, now that we have an Archon in the graveyard. Which is pretty good. Good place to be. We're ahead on mana, we're ahead slightly on board, and we have some pretty good cards in our graveyard. Okay. So that's probably going to bounce the Dwarf token. Yeah, makes sense. But Archon still cleans everything up if we find it. That's actually not a good draw because the Unburial Rights is gone. So let's do this. There we go. Alright, so now they lose it all. So they sack this, discard the card in their hand, and we should be good to go. Alright. Teferi down, card in hand down. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could draw Spellbomb. They're off it. Okay, we completed the 2-3. We at least salvaged a little bit of value there. What went wrong? So the 3 matches we lost... I mean, there was obviously that match against Blue-Red Murktide where we got just horribly flooded. The match against Burn, which I thought was sort of close, but maybe that matchup is just atrocious for us. And then what was the last tech that we lost to? Let me go back here. This person, what was this person playing? I'll have to go back and check. It was a long match. But overall, I thought the deck, I mean, I think that there's something here. I think there's definitely a little bit of power. Archon of Cruelty is really messed up, and the ability to have both game plans available to you with Creativity and Persist, just having a little bit more wiggle room, especially in post-board games when you want to pivot to, you know, your opponent's bringing in hate for one part of the combo, but maybe not for the other part. I like that, and the interaction's good. I think the card I was least impressed with was Expressive Iteration, which is, I'm really surprised at that because obviously it's really good in other decks, but I think that maybe this deck is too glutted at 2 and 3, and especially 4 with Creativity, that you just don't have... Like, it's not like a critical mass deck type of thing, it's just trying to find A plus B, right? And that's, I think, where Iteration is not as good. So maybe some other sort of cantrip, like something like Cathartic Reunion, to be able to discard Archons in hand could be good. So maybe look into something like that. But everything else felt pretty good. And I think there might be something here, just could maybe need a little, maybe needs a little bit of work. So, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I know this was a long one, but thank you again. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.